Hello there, this is TPA017 and today we're going to be having another look at some Mac games that came out on Steam last month, February 2024. So we had a few interesting ones come out, most notably Balatro, which has gone on to do very well. So let's get into it, shall we? So our first one is, like I said, Balatro, developed by Local Thunk. It came out in mid-February, and it's done really very well. Sold over 1 million copies as of a couple of days ago. It's a poker-themed roguelike. It doesn't have any actual gambling in it though, but it does feature a wide number of jokers, I think over 150, that can boost or modify your score, as well as tarot, planet and spectral cards that can help shape your deck, help you get better hands and earn more points. So let's have a look at the trailer. Yes, it pretty much speaks for itself, the trailer. So it's available for a fair few platforms, Windows and Mac, PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S, and the Switch. And there's also been a release, they're looking into releasing a version for Android and iOS as well. Minimum system requirements are... There's not much point in reading it, to be honest. All you really need is 1 gig of RAM and 15 megabytes of space. It's a really very small game, but it's quite a lot of fun. I've put in over 40 hours into it myself, actually. I'm a bit embarrassed to say. Now, basically, if you're able to watch this video, you're able to play Balatro. There's no other way of saying it. So next one is... Wani Hug That Gator by Caveman. I'm assuming I got that right. It's a visual novel. You've moved halfway across the country right before you start your senior year of whatever school it is, and your New Year's school is filled with, well, dinosaurs. You know, you're the only human there. It's a bit odd, to put it mildly, from what I've heard, but it's done. But it's got a fair few positive reviews, so yeah. And the Brontosaurus girl is cracking me up a bit, to put it mildly. So let's have a look. Yeah, I'm I'm really not sure how to describe that. It's available on Windows, Mac, and Linux. It actually looks pretty good, to be honest. Minimal system requirements. Again, they're fairly low. Windows Vista or Ubuntu version 16 or higher. Core 2 Duo processor with 2 GHz, which is probably about 12 years old at this point. So, yeah, again, if you're able to watch this video, able to run, main problem could possibly be the space, but 2 gigs in this day and age isn't really a great deal. Just assume that you'd be able to run it without any trouble. Our next one, Please Touch the Artwork 2 by Thomas Ortazoy. It's a follow-up to last year's Please Touch the Artwork. It's a bit of a hidden object game set in a hand-painted world. You help a lost skeleton painter by fixing paintings, solving various puzzles, etc. So, this one's actually a freebie, so it might be worth having a squiz just for that alone, to be honest. So, let's have a look. Sorry about that. Yeah, so it's a bit of a different one. So it's available on Windows, Mac, iOS and Android. System requirements, again, they're really low. Basically, Windows XP or newer, so about 20 years old at this point, probably, no, it's even older. 1 gig of RAM, 250 megabytes free space. Again, like I said, it's pretty low system requirements. It's not the lowest on the list, but it'll be probably third lowest for this month. So again, no problems running it. Next one, News Tower by Sparrow Knight. This one released into early access in mid-February and is expected to fully release next year. They're expecting about a year, but could be more, could be less. So it's a newspaper management game set during New York in the 1930s, where you get to editorialise and report on significant events like the Great Depression, Prohibition, report on crime and lost cats, and basically build your print cycle, your empire, hopefully. So let's have a look at the trailer.
Do you believe in truth? Do you believe in justice? Then News Tower is for you. With News Tower, you get to run your own newspaper. Lead your employees to make today's paper the news of tomorrow. It's not about the power or the wealth. It's about telling the truth and never allowing others to influence your agenda. The truth needs you. The facts need you. The news needs you. Have you got what it takes? Then make the news your story. Join News Tower today.
I have the mayor for you.
Well, good morning, sir. And what story would you like me to tell today? Play now on Steam.
Yes, so that's right. So that's News Tower, currently available on Windows and Mac, and minimum system requirements: Windows 7 64-bit, an Intel Core i3 6100 or AMD FX 4350. So again, they're a bit older CPUs. So 8 gigs of RAM. 1 gigabyte graphics card, a discrete GPU, and 3 gigabytes of free space. On the Mac side, Mac OS 10.15 Catalina, and a 2 GHz dual core processor. 8 gigs of RAM, 1 gigabyte of VRAM for the GPU, and 3 gigs of free space. But you could probably run it on a pretty modern integrated graphics card as well. I'd say probably anything up to about 5 or 6 years old would be able to run it without any issues. So, next one, The Great Rebellion by Covelt Games. Hopefully I got that right. Cyberpunk themed 2D side scroller. It's set in a very pretty little 16-bit style with 60 different weapons to choose from, as well as randomly generated levels and a range of powers and companions to discover. Now, it has used a bit of AI to help initially create some of the backgrounds and some of the props, but the developers say they've heavily modified the results to make them suit the game. So let's have a look, shall we?
The time has come to ask, are you winning, son? Enter a future where freedom is a distant memory. Globalism has won, and rebellion is the only hope. You are Human 1028, one man against an empire. He's not just fighting for himself, he's fighting for Europa. Ancient powers will rise to aid him in the Great Rebellion. In a future where humanity is on the brink, you'll face the ultimate enemy, a digital dictatorship that owns everything. But judgment comes for those who deserve it. Too bad they all deserve it. With every playthrough, a new challenge. Every weapon, a new strategy. In this dystopian cyberpunk roguelike. The game where no two rebellions are ever the same. Make Europe great again.
Yeah, so that's The Great Rebellion. It's available on Windows, Mac and Linux. Minimum system requirements: Windows 8 or Ubuntu 16. An Intel Core i3 processor, 4 GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 660M, which is a very low power, which is a very old mobile graphics card. So, yep, and 2 GB of free space. On the Mac side, macOS 10.13 High Sierra, and an Intel Core i3 or an Apple M1, 4 GB of RAM. GPU is not specified, but I'd say probably anything made in the last 8 years, to be honest, and 2 GB of free space. So yes, a very pretty little one, that one. Next one, Spiritfall by Gentle Giant. So it spent 10 months in early access. Very pretty little roguelite. There's been quite a few of the 2D roguelites coming out recently. Range of levels to explore and quite a few enemies to encounter. And it looks like there's a few different little skills there, including Scorching Launcher and Wings of Flame. So it could be worth having a bit of a squiz. So let's have a look. Yeah, so very pretty little one, that one. So currently available for Windows and Mac. Minimum system requirements: Windows 7, 8, or Windows 7, 10, or 11. I would assume 8 as well. Processors: an Intel Core i3, 8GB of RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 760, or an AMD Radeon R7 360. So they're fairly old cards, but at this point, I'd say probably come out to about 9 years old, I reckon. The space isn't mentioned, but yeah, the space hasn't been mentioned on either system requirement, so I'm really not sure. It would have to be under 5 gigs, probably closer to 2, I reckon. On the Mac side, macOS 10.13, High Sierra, an Apple or Intel processor, 8GB of RAM, and a metal-capable GPU. So, again, say anything about 9 years old or newer should be able to run it without any troubles. Got a typo there. Inkulinati by Yaza Games. It's released after a year in early access. I remember seeing it in one of the Steam Next Fests. It's a very pretty little hand-drawn turn-based strategy, based on the medieval images and banners that you occasionally see. You control the living ink and create a beast to help defeat your foes, either through the campaign mode or through PvP. So, let's have a look.
We live and die by the quill, for it is ink that gives and takes life away. The hand that wields the quill rules the battlefield. It shapes history. The ink shall flow like a river, cleansing wickedness. We are the Inkulinati, and we draw as if there is no tomorrow. And I, who wield the quill, shall become the greatest Inkulinati of them all. Ink knows no mercy or honor. We do whatever it takes to succeed. Now, who is taking so long here to... Oh, wait, it's my turn. Out now.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a different one, that one. It's on... Let me see if I got it right. Right. It's available on a few platforms. I was having quite a bit of trouble with the software I used to make these, so I haven't actually been able to properly update some of them. But it's available on Windows and Mac, and the other platforms there. I believe I saw Xbox and the Switch. Yeah, so it's not very professional of me, I know. So, minimum system requirements. Windows 10 and Intel Core i5 6400 or AMD equivalent. So that would be a 6th gen Core i5, I believe. We're currently at 13th or 14th, so say about 7 years old. 6 gigabytes of RAM. NVIDIA GTX 750 Ti or an AMD RX 560. So it's getting a bit decent. I'd say 2 gigabytes or above. So yeah, it's probably getting a little bit more demanding if you've got a very old system. 5 gigabytes of free space. On the Mac side, Mac OS 11 Big Sur, 3.2 gigahertz quad-core Intel i5 or Apple M1, 8 gigabytes of RAM, AMD Radeon R9 M380 2 gigabyte or an Apple M1, and 5 gigabytes of free space. So again, a bit more of a newer system, I'd say. I'd say about 6 years old, just to cover the RAM side of things. But yes, it's a very pretty little game. You don't very often see the medieval style graphics. Next one, KeeperRL by Electric Succubi. Now this one's come out after nearly 9 years in early access. It's been a very long time. You play as an evil wizard and study black magic, expand your dungeon, research real technology and magic, and explore a pre-generated world. And I assume as a villain you'd be able to do some interesting little things to heroes and villagers. Looks a bit like Dwarf Fortress in a way, just a bit prettier. Let's have a look at the trailer. Yes, very pretty little one actually. So it's available for Windows, Mac and Linux. Minimum system requirements, they're not too bad. Windows 10 or Ubuntu, it wasn't actually mentioned in the system requirements. What version, but it shouldn't be too high, I'd assume 14 or 16. Dual core 2.4 GHz processor, 4 GB of RAM. GPU's not mentioned, but I'd say anything about 7-8 years old or newer, to be honest, and 1 GB free space. On the Mac side, Mac OS 10.7 Lion, which is a very old one now. Dual core 2.4 GHz processor again, 4 GB of RAM, GPU's not mentioned, and 1 GB of free space. So again, it would be anything about 7-8 years old or newer. Should be able to run it without even blinking. Now, the next one, Moonbreaker by Unknown Worlds Entertainment. I think they did Subnautica. I believe it was them. It's a digital tabletop game with paintable miniature figurines. And you can battle against the AI or against other players, setting it's a science fiction backdrop. It seems to have quite a lot of customization to it, as you can see by the amount of colours there. And yes, it's a very, very interesting little game. It's come out after 1.5 years in early access, and let's have a look.
Trade bobs. Let's crack you open.
Dark lightning felines.
Yeah, so that's that one. Now, this one's probably the most demanding one on my list. It's available for Windows and Mac. System requirements are Windows 8.1 or 10 64-bit with an Intel i5 2400 or an AMD FX 8100. There, if I know my names right, that'd be second, or might be probably be about a 10-year-old processor by now, so that shouldn't be a problem. 8GB of RAM. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960 4GB or AMD R9 370 4GB, and 15GB of free space. So it's still not too bad, but I'd say more of a mid-range older system for it. So anything within the last 6 years or so. On the Mac side, macOS 10.15 Catalina, 2.66 GHz quad-core Intel CPU or an Apple M1, 8GB of RAM, AMD Radeon Pro 570 4GB or Apple M1, and 15GB of free space. So that's that little one there. Very pretty little game. And Kukoro Stream Chat Games by Hey Now. It's come out after 3 years in early access. It's a section of mini games for streamers to play with their chats and viewers on Twitch. It's got a fair few features like being able to reserve a place, being able to customise your avatar, highlight your name, and in-game cosmetics, all that kind of thing. So let's have a look. Yeah, it's a bit of a shorter trailer, that one, but it seems to have a fair few different games included. So, minimum system requirements. Right, available for Windows and Mac. Minimum system requirements are Windows 7, 8 or 10, 64-bit, and a cameo by the emergency services. Intel i3 2.4 GHz or an AMD equivalent. So, yeah, not too bad there. 512 megabytes of RAM. Intel HD 5000. That'd be a bit of an older integrated graphics card. That'd probably be about 6, 7, 8 years old at this point. And 100 megabytes of free space. On the Mac side, pretty similar. The macOS 10.12 Sierra. Processors not mentioned, but again assume 2.4 GHz Intel. 512 megabytes of RAM. GPU would be basically the same as on the Windows side, anything newer than say 7 or 8 years, and 100 megabytes of free space. And lastly, the Menemee Lane by Dirt and Blibloop. Recently came out at the end of February. Very short little management sim where you can add and upgrade different buildings such as ramen stores, bookshops, karaoke bars, as well as pet various cats. I streamed it myself a few hours ago. It's a bit of a shorter one, about 2.5 hours, but I found it interesting. So let's have a look.
Welcome to Menemee Lane. Created by developers Doot and Bleep Bloop, you'll build your own street in this cozy, casual management sim. Unlock and customize buildings, manage your shops, and maximize the happiness of your villagers to complete quests and fill your street with love. Enjoy 2 to 4 hours of cute tanukis, delicious ramen bowls, tiny boba cafes, and lots of cats. Out now on Steam for just $4.99.
Yes, so that's Menemee Lane, available on Windows, Mac and Linux. Minimum system requirements are Windows 7, 10 or 11, or Ubuntu 18.04 or CentOS 7. Processor is basically, does your computer have one? So, 2 gigabytes of RAM, any integrated graphics card, I would say, and 3 gigabytes of free space. It says that, but I think I'd say it's under 500 megabytes to be honest. It took nearly no time for me to download, so. Okay, on the Mac side, macOS 10.14 Mojave. Processor is basically the same. Does your computer have one? Answer's pretty much going to be yes. 2 gigabytes of RAM, any integrated GPU, I'd say about 10 years or newer, and once again the space I'd say under a gigabyte to be honest. And the couple of honourable mentions are Feign by Taniki Kafala, Turkish developer. I am not the best with my Turkic or my Turkish. It's currently in early access, has been for a couple of years, but recently received a Mac version in February. It's a real marvelous style game for up to 12 players, with a number of cosmetics available to purchase with in-game currency. As well as Ultros by Hadoku. This is from Peru, I believe. It's a very trippy sci-fi Metroidvania like. Where you end up on the sarcophagus, which is a cosmic uterus containing an ancient demon, which is not something I thought I'd say. It also features time travel, and it's really heavily influenced by that bright Peruvian look. I've had a look at some of the screenshots. They're really very trippy, very colourful. Right, I think that should do it for this month. Hopefully that'll give you guys some ideas. Next time I definitely plan to get this out a bit earlier, say mid-April, and hopefully I can get the software to start playing nice. Until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.